It was past midnight on December 3rd, 1984, in Bhopal, India. Silence cloaked a sleeping city. That night, a toxic cloud began to form. What followed would become the world's worst industrial disaster. Bhopal, capital of Madhya Pradesh, was home to nearly 900,000 residents. Within its limits stood Union Carbide India Limited's pesticide plant. Inside the plant, methyl isocyanate, or MI, deadly, highly reactive gas. Safety systems had been disabled days prior, a cost-saving decision that would prove fatal. Water entered a mite tank and sparked a violent chemical reaction. Temperatures soared above 200 degrees Celsius. The pressure exceeded limits. Containment failed. At approximately 12:40 a.m., 40 tons of toxic gas were released into the air. There were no emergency sirens. No evacuation protocols, only darkness and silence. The gas, heavier than air, flowed through alleys and low-lying homes. It crept into bedrooms and lungs, unseen but deadly. People woke, choking, disoriented, terrified. Children screamed. Parents panicked. Hospitals overflowed within minutes. Doctors had no idea what chemical they were treating. Might burned eyes, corroded lungs, and caused instant miscarriages in pregnant women. Some died where they slept. Others collapsed in the streets. By sunrise, thousands were dead. Chaos reigned over morgues, clinics, and homes. Official death tolls stated 3,000 in the first days. Activists estimate up to 15,000. Over 500,000 were exposed. Many suffer chronic illnesses to this day. The plant had a record of leaks and near warnings went unheeded. The flare tower, meant to burn off toxic gases, wasn't operational. Scrubbers had been turned off. Union Carbide Corporation, headquartered in the United States, was the majority owner. Its CEO arrived briefly after the tragedy. It was arrested, then released. He fled the country. India's extradition requests were ignored. Its CEO died without facing trial, a symbol of impunity. In 1989, Union Carbide settled with the Indian government for $470 million. For most victims, compensation was meager, a few $100s. Legal proceedings dragged on for decades. Justice felt distant. The factory site remains toxic. Groundwater and soil are still contaminated. Children born after 1984 still exhibit deformities and neurological issues. Entire communities live in the shadow of that gas cloud. Decades later, the Bhopal tragedy ignited global outrage. Regulatory reforms were proposed. India revised its safety laws. Industrial codes were re-examined, but enforcement remains inconsistent. The ghosts of Bhopal looms large. For many, this was not a tragedy, but a crime of profit over safety, of silence over responsibility. No sirens sounded that night. Only screams broke the stillness. Workers had voiced concerns. They were ignored. Corporate documents revealed cost-cutting was prioritized over safety upgrades. The poor paid the ultimate price. Their lives were deemed disposable. Today, survivors still protest. Their demands echo through courtrooms and global forums. They ask for environmental cleanup, medical support, and justice. But compensation has been inconsistent. Accountability remains elusive. Union Carbide later merged with Dow Chemical. Dow denies responsibility. The factory stands abandoned. Rusting walls and poisoned soil mark its legacy. Bhopal isn't just history. It's a living wound. The tragedy challenges us. Who gets protected? Who gets left behind? Laws were written in its aftermath, but enforcement was often missing. The survivors built memorials, gardens bloom over poisoned ground. Some created schools to educate others, turning pain into purpose. Their stories transcend statistics. They speak of dignity, resistance, and healing. Every year on December 3rd, Bhopal mourns. Candles flicker in silence. Names are remembered. These commemorations carry pain and power. They refuse to be remembered only as victims. They are witnesses, they are educators, they are fighters. They demand systemic change, not sympathy, but structural accountability. Bhopal asks the world to listen, to never let profit trump people again. It calls for global safety standards, for ethical governance, for corporate responsibility, and for remembrance, not as tragedy porn, but as a living testimony. Bhopal's story is a warning of what happens when greed overwhelms oversight. What happens when the vulnerable are unseen? What happens when justice is denied? Let us remember, not just today, but always. Let us commit, not just in words, but through action. If this video helped you understand the impact of book, please give it a thumbs up. It costs you nothing, but helps this message reach further. Subscribe to the channel for more stories that educate, honor, and inspire. Leave a comment. Let us know how this story made you feel. Your voice matters. Share the video with someone who needs to know. Together, we can carry this legacy forward. Support is free, but its value is immeasurable. Your click, your share, your engagement. These simple actions simplify awareness. Help us build a world that listens to survivors, a world that demands safety, justice, and truth, because the Bhopal tragedy should never happen again anywhere. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. And most of all, thank you for being part of the change. This message lives on in you. You are now part of Bhopal's legacy, not of silence, but of witness, not of distance, but of solidarity. Let this video be more than content. Let it be memory. Let it be movement. Let it be a promise. Never again. Bhopal remember us, and now so do you.